Hey, how you guys doing? Okay, we're back. Let's do this thing. Okay, hold on. I gotta get my soda open. Okay, dokie. Let's give this a shot. We're gonna try. We're gonna use Jeremy Silman's imbalance thing. Let's give this a shot. Now let's see. Because if I'm gonna make a closed position, which that's what the French is, I need to make my knights really strong. And so he takes. Now he's trying to open up. So bishops will become very strong in this position. He's got a. What he has that I don't have is a knight development. So now we're equal with developments. And now I'm playing bishop pawn c. Now I'm going to pin his knight. And then I'll play bishop to e7 castles. And I'll get developed. So he's retreating back. Check. Interesting. Okay. Let's take his knight. Queen takes. Now I can castle. So now it's slightly closed. So what we're gonna have to do is I'm gonna see if I can give a little bit of air to my the bishop. See, he's gonna try to get his queen here, so I have to have that already be decided. So let's see, how can I do that? If I go here, he's gonna trade, and then he'll have enough material. Well, if I play my queen up here, my bishop there, and then we can trade off. Then he could trade. Well, I'll have double pawns. So let's see. I'm just gonna get my queen off this, connect my rooks. So we gotta get a plan now. Okay, let's see what we got here. I'm thinking about infiltrating my bishop. So he's gonna try to get a knight here. So at this point, no, I don't want to do that. Well, I could do that, and then I could trade off bishops, have my queen centralized. I do have a weak, yeah, I'm going to do that, because I have to get rid of that bishop off my, my diagonal. So, there we go. So now I'm starting to reconsolidate. Hey, how you doing? Now I'm starting to reconsolidate my position. My plan is I want to kind of keep the position closed, and potentially I might have to. I got to be aware that he can play actually queen f5, and that'd be a sitch for me. Okay, the knight's coming in. All right, so now, oh, let's see here. I'm gonna try to get the rooks off the board. If I can kind of relieve some of the pressure, I should be okay at this point. And then after this game, I'm going to do a Wesley So game. We're going to do an imbalance. We wanted to start off with a, he's going to probably play here, so I'm going to have to play knight there. I'm either going to play knight here or knight here. I'm probably going to play here. Oh, so he's going for the weakness of the pawns. Okay. Interestingly. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to see what can I play that because he's gonna try. He has a knight, so he's gonna attack there. No, I can't play there, so... Ew. Not happy. Not happy one bit. Okay. Gotta develop my knight. I'm gonna lose a pawn, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'll just move. He won a pawn, but at what cost, though? That's kind of somewhat we have to decide. At what cost? Let's see here. Let's see if we can get the queens off the board. I have to now hack at the center here. What the heck? Okay. As long as it's, I'll play you as long as it's not rated. I just played one rated game because sometimes I start out that way and when we win. Okay, so what we gotta do is we'll go over this too. But I have a Wesley So game, so but just make it like a 10 or a 15-minute game and unrated casual, and then I'll play you. Okay, and what we're gonna do here until that comes in. Yeah, so we'll do that. Send that, and then I'll play you. Oh, sure. Oh, anything. I just want a casual, just like a 10-minute, not like any of the modified games, just like chess. No, like King Race, Triple Check, or any of that. See, what we need to do here is we'll get to the beginning. Oh, excuse me. This is Wesley So I gotta play. He's doing the French defense, and we have to look at the. Hey, I know, but I don't want to, it's not about, rating, it's all about learning. So that's the whole reason that I don't do rated ones with the guys on, the chat, because whoever wins or loses, it's all, we go back through and we learn. Otherwise, if it's rated, then then something, you take something from somebody else, and it's not a tournament. This is about learning. Let's see here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, because we're gonna go over Jeremy Silman's idea of imbalance. We'll take it to, let's see, what part was that I liked? Okay, takes. Okay, takes. All right, now we'll take it. Cool. That's cool. What we need to do now is to look at what imbalance does white have and what imbalance does black have. Okay, white has a developed bishop, more developed light squared bishop, which black really doesn't have any weaknesses. So if we want to take a look at, is there weaknesses, black has really no weaknesses at this moment except for b7, and that's covered. White has a weakness on c5, which the bishop is going to take it, which we'll have that happen. And so now you have to take in consideration, you'll have to look at different colored bishops, like the light squared bishop, the dark squared bishop for white, and the dark squared bishop for black. Wesley's bishop, the dark squared one, is much more active, and it's doing more than his opponent's counterpart, the other bishop. It's also attacking the f2 pawn. So you need to, before you even make a plan, Jeremy Silman talks about, you need to look at the imbalance, what does white have, what does black have, and then you can actually sometimes make a idea around just that. If you ever get like confused and you wonder, I don't know if I can make an idea, look at what your opponent has, look at what you have. If you have two knights and he has two bishops, but it's closed, of course you know what to do with your knight. You're in more of a static position, so you can move your knights, jump around, gobble up weak backward pawns, and so that's a plan. Also, you want to another plan in that situation is you want to keep the position closed. So if you can keep the position closed and start gobbling your opponent's pawns like Pac-Man, you'll win. And so what you have to do at this point, we know that Wesley really doesn't have any weaknesses. His opponent does. It's the f3 pawn, so he's going to have to either move it, and also an imbalance I forgot. I don't know why I forgot, was the king moved. So one thing that Wesley has over his opponent, he has the ability to castle. His opponent doesn't. So his king's stuck in the center, Wesley's opponent. And so Wesley has really all the attack, and so his opponent's going to be on guard for a little bit till he or she gets their pieces out, and maybe their king can be castled by hand, like something like this, up here, over, and then have the king retreat back, and then you have a rook like that. You can castle by hand, so it's not like over for white right now, but it's white is not doing really good, because if Wesley can take advantage of the king that's stuck in the center, then he's got some attack. So we'll see how Wesley does that. We'll go in like another 5 moves, and then we can talk more about the imbalance change in the position. So here, there, okay. Alright, here's a good point. Right here's a good point. Okay, all the pieces are developed. Okay, perfect. Alright, let's take a look to see what we have here. Okay, let's take stock of the position. Wesley has 3 pieces developed, with a pawn being attacked here, pawn being attacked there. So Wesley's 2 bishops are like superstars. They're the top of the list. White, which is Wesley's opponent, has a more advanced knight. So Jeremy Silman calls this knight a octopus because of how many squares it can attack. There's 2 spots that you want a knight to be for white, on these 2 spots here. For black, you want these 2 spots. More likely you want this spot than anything, but this one's okay as well. This really, this would take over all these different squares here if you had a knight here for black. You see, it basically consumes almost all of the board. It's like a monster. That's why he calls it the octopus, a knight that's positioned either here or there, because its tentacles go out everywhere. And you got to be careful when when a knight lands there like this. You just got to be very careful that you don't set yourself up for a fork or a skewer or something like that. No, I'm sorry, a fork, not a skewer. Knights can't skewer. So we take stock. West's got 2 healthy bishops. His opponent has a okay bishop. The knight's at its close to optimum spot. So let's continue on for another, we'll say 5 moves. So it's 2, 3. Alright, here we go. This would be a good point right now to look at for right now. Okay. The idea in here is now Wesley has 2 expanded pawns. His opponent has a pawn majority on the queen side. Wesley has a pawn minority on the queen side. So what you have to, sorry, a little tongue-tied there. What black wants to do is he wants to create a weakness. Jeremy Silman also says that if you are able to, if there's no weaknesses, you have to create a weakness. So remember, sometimes you have to create weaknesses, that's why upon my minority player, excuse me, I'm sorry, soda, I had a drink of a soda. Okay, what is a pawn minority? Oh, pawn minority is here. I'll show you. It's white has 3 pawns on the queen side. This is the queen side. Black has only 2. So the 2 pawns are called. This is called a minority here because Wesley only has 2. These 3 pawns because if you my teacher taught me that what you can do is draw arrows, and if there's a pawn that's missing, that let's say there's a pawn here, here, and here, that it's not a minority attack. But because white has three guys that are going like this, and black doesn't have a pawn here, this is called a majority. That's what I was taught. And so what you want to do when you have a minority attack is you want to try to create some weaknesses in the position. Like, let's go to the king side. Wesley has a majority on the king side. He's got 4 pawns. His opponent has a minority on the king side. So you could just draw arrows and see right here. We'll just draw arrows for pawns, and then we can see if there's nope. See, white's missing this one. If there was a pawn there, there would be an equal pawn structure. So that's just some stuff that I have learned. So you want to basically hack away, or sorry, you basically want to attack and try to trade off and create a weakness. But white wants to kind of hold. Potentially, white can later on get something called an outside pass pawn, which if it comes down to 2 versus 3, this pawn potentially would be passed. So in end games, you just have to, with like Aaron Nizovich, which he's the one that talked about pawns being really important in chess. Before him, they thought that pawns weren't really that important. They would just ditch them and, decide, hey, I can, do certain sacrifices and I'm okay. That's not how chess is played now. It's more based on this pawn skeleton, which is how your pawns are set up. See, this is considered a skeleton, a pawn skeleton. Sorry. And each opening has a skeleton, a pawn structure. So, well, after Wesley So's game, I'll show you the structure of the French. There's certain openings, like there's the King's Indian structure, there's the Sicilian, there's all different openings, and they each have a pawn structure all to themselves. Okay, so now that we talked about what white has a minority attack, black's got a minority on the queen side, white's got a majority on the queen side, white has a minority on the king side, black has a majority on the king side. White doesn't really have any weaknesses at this moment because his pawns aren't overextended. Wesley has 2 really extended pawns which potentially could be considered. How do you know a pawn is a... Oh, how do you know? Well, if you look at this, if let's just say we took all these pieces, this off the board, that, and then we just take everything off here. We'll just take everything. And let's just say it comes down to these 3 pawns here. If black has 2 pawns and white has 3, just to take all these, the reason I put circles on them was so that you could imagine they're all off the board. Oops, I should take the king off. Sorry, the king has to stay on the board. So just imagine the king and 3 pawns, and black has a king and 2 pawns. White potentially could come here and then come here and get a pass pawn, and white would be able to come over and maybe walk it down. Potentially black may be able to draw, but if black's king was all the way over here on h8 and white had a pass pawn, we'll just say he had this pawn, all the other stuff was gone, he can go here and you wouldn't be able to go down, you wouldn't be able to stop it because your king is too far away. And we'll do some endgame studies too. What your question was more of an endgame study. Jeremy Stillman has a really good one on that. I'll have to do some endgame for you guys because it's one area that's most often neglected, and because it's not as fun as the opening of the middle game. One second. It's more of those areas are more dynamic and attacking, crushing, smash smash. But end games are more of a strategy based. A strategy is a long term plan. It's a long term plan. Tactics are more like short term things. So we that's why it's important to study end games, because you can then at this point a grandmaster can look at his structure here and his whole position and say, what type of end game do I want to get into? And he could say, oh, if I trade this, and I trade all these guys off, White would say, I can get a passed pawn on the outside passed pawn. That's a potential win. Or Black would say, if I trade off everything and White's left with just these guys and these pawns here, this is all that's left in the king. Black could say, I can get a passed pawn. And you can tell by pawn structures. And you also can get a plan based on piece activity. There's initiative, development. A lot of terms. I know I'm talking real fast. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with like wordage, because that was the one thing that I liked about my teacher was Nate. He always took time when I had questions to answer them, and he slowly took me up to where I am now. And so that's what I want to do to help you guys, is to slowly lead you by the hand so you get understanding. Otherwise you get grandmaster teachers that they're really smart. I'm not saying that they're not smart, but they have forgotten what it's like to go up a stairs. Like in a stairs, there's rungs that you have to walk up, but they're already at the top and they're looking down and saying, guys, come on up. But what if you don't know that it's a stair and you need to step up? That's what this stream is about, helping you get up the stairs till you're at the top as well. So that's the purpose, and that's why we're going to start going over more games. I used to play 5-minute games. Then I realized that those are good. You get to a certain level, but unless you have an understanding of the position at hand, or the imbalance, as Jeremy Silman says, you're only going to get to a certain spot. You're going to wonder to yourself, why can't I get any further? And then once you learn this process of knowing, we'll just go through this real quick, knowing how to make a plan. Like White wants to get his bishop out. That's an idea, but it's not the plan. See, Black has a couple things that White doesn't have, and I'm still a little noobish as well for this. Oh, I'm still I'm still learning. I'm in process of learning as well. So, as I'm teaching, I'm learning right alongside with you guys. I'm going to try my best and use the gift that the Lord's given me to be a good teacher for you guys. But I may make inaccurate, sometimes I may make mistakes, like I may miss an imbalance. So like what I missed for White was his rook's offside here. So what we have to, I gotta get rid of that. A little too clicky there. That's okay. So we need to get back to what we were talking about, the imbalance. Okay, because there's talking, and we got to get back into it. All right. So what we got to do now is look at the idea behind what white wants to do. See, we know that he has two developed pieces, black has two developed pieces, and he has a rook. There's an open file, so we know that an idea for white might be to place a rook on d1. So that's an idea that black has to consider. Oh, that is a good idea too. We'll see. Yeah, so white, see, we are right. Black is slightly better. That is true. And so what we need to do now is, I will turn it on every once in a while, but it's sometimes the arrows distract from what we're talking about. But Wesley is better developed, so we know that for sure. See, that tells you right there the imbalance is important. So what white wants to do basically in this, I don't want to minimize it by saying basically, what white wants to do is he needs to develop and connect his rooks. A way that you can tell if you're in a middle game that my teacher taught me was if your rooks are looking at each other, that means that you're in the middle game because they're connected. So what we need to do now is look at a plan potentially for Wesley. And so what we'll do is we'll go another like 5 moves in, and then we'll take another look at the imbalance, because you need to see kind of what their ideas are. And so let's do that. We'll go another 5 moves for each side. Okay, they're there. Oops, I gotta go up just a little bit so you guys can see. Oops, I gotta go down just a little bit. There we go, right about there. So that's 1, 2, 3, and we'll do one more. There we go. Okay. Now we're at a really good, and we'll see like what you're saying. We'll check to see who's winning. Well, Wesley's winning right now. So let's see why. Okay. Let's look at the imbalance again and for both sides. The imbalance for white, if we just look at Jeremy Silman says always just look at the pieces, and you can kind of tell which piece is good, which piece is not good, and you can like do almost what a computer does by weighing who's winning and who's not winning. Okay, we see that white and black's 2 rooks are close to the same. One thing that black has that white doesn't have for his rook is black controls a half open file, but these 2 rooks are very similar because they're really not doing anything at this moment. White's dark squared bishop is not as good as black's dark squared bishop because it doesn't have as much of a scope of an attack. Like this bishop, I guess it's very similar if you want to think about it, because they are looking at almost very, it's like weird. But they are really similar. But and they're both attacking. See, white's not attacking really anything with his dark squared bishop, and black is attacking something, which is the h2 pawn. He can't win it right now. So that's, if Wesley was saying, can I win this pawn? He would have to take a look at all of his pieces. So this knight and that knight, same. Light squared, light square. White's light squared bishop is looking at a chain of pawns, so it's not really doing anything. The Wesley's light squared bishop, potentially when the knight moves, he would have a pin on the f pawn all the way to the rook. So this bishop is, when the knight moves, much more active and stronger. Let's look at the pawn structure at this moment. White has 3 isolated pawns, pawn islands. Black has 3 pawn islands as well. A pawn island is if they're connected together, like if there was a pawn here let's say there was a pawn here, this would all be considered one pawn island. It would also be a pawn chain as well, because it could be a huge chain. So, and white's king is more exposed, black's king is not as exposed. So if we were to weigh the odds, or not weigh the odds, but if we were to look as if a computer would, we would say black's better. So let's continue onward with, I think there's not very many moves left. We'll go to move 30 and see for both sides to see where everything leads to. So here, let's see, we're almost there. Alright, we're at move 30. Now Wesley is a much stronger. If we notice, he's 2 pawns in positional play for his opponent better. And let's just look at the imbalance and look why that is. Just 1 second, I need a drink. Okay. White's rooks are really not. They're not really pretty. They both rooks are staring at each other. So this rook is challenging that, and that rook's challenging that. This rook's offside, doing nothing. Potentially, this rook could double up, and if this rook took this rook, you always have the ability of implanting a bishop to g3. And the imbalance for white and black, the main one is white has a knight and a bishop, black has 2 bishops, and the center is open. See, this is considered the center. White, there's not really any pawns that prevent these 2 bishops from flowing their power of attack, and this bishop isn't prevented. So because it's not a closed position, this knight is really inferior to the other ones, not as strong. So if we were to weigh maybe the position, the rooks are the same value, but this knight isn't really positionally 3 pawns. We'll say it's 1, and look, we are 100% right. 2.2. So the computer even looks at this knight as not as good as, let me see, this light square bishop here. So it gives Wesley a 0.2 advantage, even though I think, let me see, even though the structure, they have the same amount of pawns. See, there's 5 pawns, 5 pawns. Everything is the same. The only difference is this knight. Okay, and let's continue onward. Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing about, right, piece value. Yeah, piece value, you can't always, like Jeremy Silman says, judge a piece by, like, a knight and a bishop are 3 pawns. We know that. They're both 3. Bishop is, some say 3.5, but you have to weigh that against the position at hand. If it's more open, what would you prefer over a knight? Of course, a bishop, which then the bishop gains more power. You can't always look at just the count, because you'll lose a game sometimes that way. You have to look at what does this position call for, and the position calls for bishops. And so Wesley understood that, and he traded his knight for a light squared bishop, which these 2 bishops dominate the board. And so we have a check. See, now his light squared bishop is coming to basically its best, and it's like really happy because it has nothing to challenge it. As well, Wesley, because of there not being... Oh yes, you're right. Squares do matter. Yeah, 100%. And we have to look at, like, when you trade a piece, like when his opponent traded a knight for his light square bishop, or sorry, Wesley traded a knight for White's light square bishop. The light squares are now weak because there's really no counterpart. They call it a counterpart, which means there's nothing that can challenge this guy here. So all these light squares are nothing but open game for this bishop just to dance around. There's nothing that can stop it. There's no queen, and this knight is far from able to guard any of these squares. And that's why Wesley more than likely is going to win the game. Because look, now he's hit, all of his pieces are flowing in. Oops, drat. Sorry. There's a check there, here. And at this point, resignation happened because it's going to end up becoming a checkmate. That's the whole thing. You have to look at the position. It's imbalance is not an easy thing to master, because you have to know, you can judge a position by, you could judge a position by the structure of pawns. Like Wesley has a better pawn structure, even though, remember we talked about majority over here, minority. These two pawns are weakness for white, and we can even just go through. We'll just do a quick analyzing. These rooks, bad. This rook and this rook, great, really, really good. This bishop totally is stellar. It overpowers this one. This light square bishop, no counterpart, so it has nothing. Compared to this knight, this one is like laughing at that knight. It's like, really? I dominate all these light squares, and what do? You can just jump here. That's all you can do. And so Wesley used his imbalance to a victory. Okay, let's see here. Now we'll do some we'll do some puzzles, because puzzles are fun. And then I'll look at a game that I priorly played after we do a couple puzzles, because you gotta always, I find that you have to take a break every once in a while and have a little fun. Otherwise, sometimes the knowledge gets totally overwhelming. And we'll look at this. Alrighty, I gotta reset up the board. I have a board under my screen. Oops, I gotta put white pieces over on the other side. Trying to I'm trying to assimilate that into my play as well. So as I'm teaching, I'm even learning. So I may miss a couple things here and there, or a multitude of things, but I will learn and I'll get better, and then as in the same vein, you guys will get better as well. Oops, I gotta turn this around. That's the whole purpose in the chess community, should be to help improve. Alright, here we go. I gotta get this set up on my board here. I have a really nice chessboard, but it's more of a like mouse pad chessboard of the tournament ones. So yes, I have, yes. And you have to be, I've done that so that I can actually do a back rank mate. But you have to be sure that when you do a sacrifice that it's going to end up working, because if you lose your queen, Ginger talks about that. He's actually done it before as well, but you have to make sure you have compensation for that sacrifice. Otherwise, you just lost it for no gain at all. Okay, let's see here. Perfect, I have it all set up. now let's see what okay, this knight came down, and let's see, what did it take? Oh, it took a pawn. Because, alright, I just want to see what it took. So now it went from a4 to b2. So let's see, what can white do? There's a tactic here that we have that we need to look for now. Let's look at a planned idea here. The knight was once, you have to look at this and look at the advantages of what the piece had, because Bobby Fischer even says once a piece is moved, once a pawn is moved, it gives up something. So what did the move from a4 to b2 give up? Gave up all these squares. So these squares are no longer, you know, under attack, but they are with a rook. So so all these are really protected, but now we have to think, if we can't take advantage of these squares here, what can we take advantage of? This knight is under attack as well, so we have to say to ourselves, what if we take, what can black do? He can play bishop to e5. So this knight for a little bit is off limits. So we have to remember that. And so let's see what we can make an idea around. Potentially we can win this knight, potentially. And let's see, what do we got here? Interesting. We can actually tack the pawn there. No, then if we tack there, he can actually come over. So I'm not sure about that. If you guys have any ideas, we can go over them. Let's see here. Oh, nice. Bishop g3. Okay. Let's take a look at that. So what's your idea behind bishop to g3? Because there's usually an idea behind moves. If I'm not mistaken, I think I see what your idea. It covers. Correct me if I'm wrong. It actually, the bishop, when it comes here, it covers these squares. Am I correct? It covers these two squares when the bishop comes here, which are the two exit squares for the knight. So the knight's trapped, and it also unleashes an attack on the rook. I mean the bishop right through to the rook, so which is a really good. I'd say that is an interesting idea. But let's see, what could our opponent play at this point? The knight's trapped once we play our bishop here, because there's two attackers, so he can't retreat out here, but he can't retreat out anyways. So let me see there. There's really no retreating spot. Oh, bishop G. Oh, I gotcha. Oh, I gotcha. I see what you're saying. Gotcha. Sorry, I read that wrong. You're right. Bishop G3. Okay. Let's see. Let's say he took bishop takes g3. So pawn takes g3. We'll just say h takes g3. And yep, you're right. Well, not a problem. Hey, do you know what? We're looking to see, and you could at this point take here, and I think the knight is trapped. Let's see. Potentially after the trades, he maybe has rook to c5, but then you can. I was thinking that potentially we have a no. I was thinking somehow after that we can do some there, but he has a flight square here. One sec, I'll be right back. Keep working on it, guys. I'll be right back. got here? Bishop f6. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah. Yeah, bishop. We have the knight. It's trapped, so we have to now take into consideration what we can do here. We're so close. All we gotta do is somehow, like what you were talking about, remove this bishop here. So potentially bishop g3 might be an idea. Potentially e6 might be, bishop e6 might be an idea. Because then the knight would have to, the rook would have to move. And if it ever like went up here, you could always play bishop g3. And then you have a double attack, and even if it doubled up, so let's say you played here, here, there, doubles, bishop takes, rook takes, knight takes, maybe, huh? Hold on, let's go back. We'll just go back to move 13 and take a look to see kind of what his idea was. Let's get a drink of water now. Actually, potentially it might be bishop e6 now that I think about it. Because he can't actually go over here. Let's see here. thinking that it's bishop to a6. Because that unleashes the rook on the bishop. Let's see if he plays bishop here, knight. Let's see, bishop there. And if this rook ever tried to move over to e8, you can just snap off the. Actually, no, he'd have to move, wouldn't he? My bad. I believe that's the move. I don't really see any other. King takes knight. What do we do if he plays bishop e5? Let's see. He attacks the knight there, attacks the rook there, okay. And then let's say he plays here. And then what we'll see is bishop bishop comes here. Rook takes rook. I think you might be right. This is a puzzling one for sure. Because there's a counter blow here and here. So let's see, if we played there, he plays there. We take. Or potentially we can just play bishop takes rook. Let me see. See here, bishop takes rook, bishop takes rook. Boy. Star squared bishop is not doing good. There's a couple ideas. There's here, and then there's potential take, but the only stitch with the take is his idea is he wins a rook. So I'm not sure. If we play bishop there, you can actually take at that point. But then this is unleashed on our our bishop, so very puzzling. So bishop, if we play bishop here, then he plays bishop there. Oh. Then I guess we may be able to take at that point. No, that wouldn't work. Potentially there's that. Let's calculate here. Then the rook slides over. And we don't get anything for that. That's really bad. That actually benefits him. Our king's exposed, so we don't want to expose it anymore. Well, then we do have this here after that. After we exchange, we got there. Then if he comes up here, we could play rook. Rook slides over. Yeah, I'm gonna say that bishop right there is right. What is that? Oh, because his knight's hanging. Okay. So we had that right. We had that one right, but just incorrectly at the final. I should have taken my time there. We'll get those points back. Don't worry. Don't worry. The queen is under attack at this moment. So we got to keep an eye on that knight. Yeah, that's what I'm... Yeah, queen D3 potentially is an idea. I mean, E3 is an idea, that's for sure. What did it give up when it moved? It's on pre at this moment, which means it's open for an attack. So if we could play like E3, no, we can't. That wouldn't work because then he can move back. Well, let me see if we played here. He moves back. Huh? Yeah, that's interesting for sure. That is interesting. Wow. Interesting. Queen D3, which attacks right through to that rook. You can't push this pawn to protect because smack, he loses the bishop. So that move actually does. I'm trying to think here because there's so much for an attack here. Yeah. He could go rook there after that, yeah. Let's see here. What do we want to... We have to move our queens, so... Good morning. Hey. Yes. I think we might potentially be right about a queen move here. But then rook could slide over. Then we could take there, and if he takes back... Well, we don't have anything, do we, at that point? Huh. Boy, the knight is in a... It could easily be attacked, so... Bishop G... Oh, interesting. So bishop G6. Knight takes queen. Knight takes queen. Bishop takes queen. Rook takes bishop. I don't know what we get for that. I'm trying to see, do we get anything for that? I don't think so. That was a good try. That's a good job on, you're you're taking the initiative to, go for an attack. That is good. I'm glad you're doing that. We just somehow have to save our queen because there's no way really to reconnect our anything that we can really do at that point. I don't think. No, we'd have to we have to play either e3, which that does a really good attack, and then I think that might be the move after that. Let me see here. Yeah, you have to always consider. Yeah. Let's see here. I would love to play that, but I don't think there's. I think we have to move our queen first. I believe you're right about that because that does a lot of attack. No, it's not bad. Hey, you know what? We're in this to learn, so that's the whole thing. Let's see if we played. Then even if you play queen over there, we have rook, and then at this point we could actually take after the queens. So more likely, if we did queen e3, a rook a d8, rook a to d8. We potentially could actually move. We wouldn't want to take this rook off, so we'd probably play rook from c to d1, and then we'd have a rook. We have queen here, rook there, and then that's a potential idea after it takes there. Boy, these are very complicated ones, aren't they? Well, there is a potential queen, like I think what somebody proposed. Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of thinking that because maybe a potential check there also attacks here and there, so queen d3 might be an idea. Or potentially it could be queen. Maybe it's an instant queen sack or a bishop sack there. bishop takes. And then if king moves over to h8, you can just move your queen up here. And then if bishop takes, let's just say king takes at that point. You can move your queen after king takes. You move your queen up here and win the knight. So maybe it's a bishop takes h7. Yeah, I think that potentially might be the sitch on that. Now that I look at it, you're right. He does have knight to h7 after bishop here takes, check, knight h7. Huh. Boom. That's not fun. Boy, this is a complicated one. I'm thinking that bishop h7, king takes h7. Then we have queen check, knight there, knight, okay, so queen check, knight f3, knight takes knight, pawn takes. I don't think we, nope, we don't get anything after that. Nope, he takes back and the pawn's guarded. I didn't see that there, so that's not the solution. Let's take another, let's see if we can find any other resource. Oh, check with the pawn. Okay, let's give that a shot. We'll try it, check with the pawn. Okay, and then we check, okay, here, okay. Here, there, check with the pawn. King goes to h6. What do we have on? It's h6. We potentially have queen, f3, but then he can actually at that point queen, and then he guards the sensitive spot here. No, I don't think we get a victory from that. You know what? Good. That's you know what? That was a good work at that. So don't ever think that it didn't work. That was good. I think it's that because that's a dual attack. Yeah, if we go G6, he just comes when the king's here down, and the queen. It's so sad. The black has just enough resources to cause us to have a problem. So it's like, erg. Let's see, queen to e3, and then let's say he plays rook a d8. Knight takes, takes. Hmm. But I'm not sure on this one. Let's go back a little bit. Maybe we can see what his idea is. I think you're right with the rook slides over after that. And then this rook could actually slide over. Ooh. Yeah, I like that. It's alright. That's yeah, that was painful. We'll go back and we'll do it again. Okay, here. Knight takes, 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 and we win. Okay. Alrighty. Ooh, that's not doing too good right now. We're down 2, so we gotta step up this. I step it up. We'll get there. We'll come back. We'll come back. Don't worry. Okay, let's get this turned around here. Yeah. All right. Okay, bye-bye. Let's get the queen set up. Okay, we have 2 knights. Okay. Okay. So when he moved from here to here, he gave up these 2 squares. This whole diagonal was given up at that point. It's too bad we couldn't set up a wheelbarrow, or sorry, windmill. When if we take here, he takes, and then if he takes here, we take there, he moves there, we slide over, he moves back. And then I don't know. Okay, let's see here. There's a couple ideas. There's potentially queen here. We potentially have a check here. We take there, we take, and I think we may have a potential back rank mate. I think that's it. I think it's first here. Then if he takes there, we can actually take here, and if this pawn takes here, we can he goes there, we bring our rook over, he goes back, and then this rook comes and snaps that off. I believe this potentially it's that. Pawn takes queen, rook takes knight, rook takes the other knight. Pawn takes bishop, rook check, king h, h1, rook g to h check, king a g1, and then this rook slides over with checkmate. What about pawn to b6? The only problem with pawn to b6 is, we'll reset this up, is he gets to take first. See, that's the only difference. He gets to take first, and when that happens, we lose our if it was us to take first, it'd be different, because if we played b6 now, he can actually play pawn takes queen. Then if we played pawn takes queen, he could play pawn takes rook, and then we lose a rook, and we're in big trouble. So I don't think that's a good try at that, though. Don't stop trying. That's the whole thing. But I do think that, let's see, is there anything else he can do? Let me see. After takes there, I do not think he's going to have to play here. That's like forced, because if we play here and he takes here, we win the queen, so he's going to have to take. So after here, he's got to take. And then here, and then he takes. And basically we win after that. You guys want to, let's give it a shot. Wow, there's okay, takes here. Yeah, it's just you have to be okay with sacrificing stuff. That's just that's the when you get to 2400, that's the name of the game. They throw you stuff that you wouldn't normally think of doing. I'm trying to see if takes right here is correct though. No, you know what? I'm glad you know what? You took the courage to post that. Thank you for doing that. You know what? We went over it, we learned, and that's the whole thing. We're learning. So don't ever fear putting a idea in. We'll go over it, and we'll talk about it. Let's see here takes, king takes, bishop takes, and I think we're up 2 bishops versus a rook, and I think that might be winning. I really don't see anything else besides doing that. Do, 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 do. Right. Let's move the king here. Let's get us a knight and a bishop. Oops. Bishop. I needed my queen. And 2 pawns. Do, do. Well, we'll take a real quick breather, and then we'll play one game, and then we'll get right back into it. There we go. Let's give it a shot here, since we're kind of warmed up. Oh, drat. That was my blunder there. Yeah. We'll do one more and then we'll get back. I'm just gonna play there because I want to be able to meet the thinking about jamming my king right there. I don't know. Potentially, I'm thinking about doing that. Let's pry this thing open. I have to castle king side, queen side to get some attack going. Oh, nice. Because then the rook would actually take back. After it takes here, it takes. This actually opens up my structure. But I could see the point behind that. Oh, well, we'll go over that. Yeah. Because if he takes here, I'll show you. This is a nice little tactic that I... come on. There. You could queen here, and then if he comes here, boom. There's mate. Okay, we'll get back to our puzzles. Okay, now that we got everything refreshed, our mind's ready. Let's get into this puzzle. Actually, one sec. I'll be right back. I promised that I was going to go over the game that I priorly played, so I apologize about that. You had a question on why I didn't take, let me see, how far back was that? Alright, how far back was the question that you asked? Virgin. How far back did you want to go? You says, why didn't you take on A3? Let me see. Trying to see where did I let's see here. I want to make sure that oh I gotcha. Oh, why I didn't take was because of checkmate. If I would have taken the rook here, it would have been checkmate, and that's why I couldn't have taken the rook. Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot about that part. The question you were asking. That's the reason that I couldn't do it. It would have ended up in a nice Blackburn's mate. So I had to give a flight squared for my my king to go to, and after that, that was actually I think an inaccurate move. Let me see what's actually the best. Yeah, I think that's the best. Yeah, I believe that I played the best. I believe that's correct. Oh, taking is correct. What does that do? He takes there, and rook takes. Okay, bishop takes. Huh. And then I'm up a whole from there on. It's all over. And then yeah, it just goes exponential from there. So I'm glad I was able to help with that. That's the whole purpose. Okay. Okay, dokie. Let's see here. Oh boy. Okay, this is really interesting. It gave up this square here. So how could we take advantage of that square, guys? Let's see if I check there. That's too soon. Well, maybe potentially I can go G6. And then I believe I got maybe a mate. Let me see here. Here, there. Rook takes. Okay, if we go G6, the queen has to move, and that's taken, that's taken, that's taken, that's taken, that's taken. So the queen only has one move to go to, and it's right there. And then I believe we can actually take at that point. Then pawn takes, then we actually have a takes here, here. Okay, so if we play here, he has to go back to f4. Queen takes f4. G takes f4. Knight from here goes there. Check with a fork. The king moves to g2. King g2 or g3, doesn't matter. Knight takes rook, and it's protected by the our rook here. So what do you guys think? That, I believe that's the move. What do you guys think? Have any other ideas that we can apply to this? What do you guys think? Do you have anything else besides? The only sitch about here is that he can actually grab your queen. Oh, I see. You're talking about, okay. I see what you're saying. You're talking about rook takes. All right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's even more interesting than before. Cause rook takes e. Or yeah, rook takes e1. Rook takes e1. But I don't. Let me see if we. Oh, from white. Oh, I gotcha. Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay, so you're saying that from white's perspective. Okay. Because I was trying to see if that actually works. Takes there. And then if rook takes, we could play there. And then if he plays here, we takes, there. But I don't know if takes here is correct first, because I believe he can actually take, and then if we come over and take, he could take. And I don't know if we win enough off that. But I see what you're saying. If we go G6, rook takes on I. Okay, then takes. Oh. Oh yeah. Then there is no. Let me take there. Okay. Wow. Yeah. We have to throw that into the calculation mentally again. And let's see, okay, G6, rook takes check, rook takes, queen to queen there, and it takes. We don't get anything after that, huh? So first we have to take, then it must be us taking. That's the only way that would actually apply here. Huh. Boy, this looked more simple than it was to begin with. But I think let's see. Okay, if we play here, actually, if we take first, and he takes, then we take, then we take. Boy, this really is a pain in the drain, isn't it? Yeah, see, they do throw a lot of wrenches in the gears of our calculation. Do you guys have any ideas? Because this really is interesting. Let's see what we got here. This is crazy because if we played here, he takes his rook. Let's see. If rook takes, so if that we win a whole rook. And let's say he just takes here. You're kidding me. Really? You're joking me there? Really? That's the move? Okay. Okay, let's reroute. Let's reset all this up again. Drat. Okay, I gotta do one more, then I gotta log for the night. So we'll finish up. We'll work real hard and get this one. Okay, then our rook. There's my bishop. There we go. Okay, so we're down a whole rook. So bishop d6. Let's take a look. Do we have enough material? He has, let's see here. Interesting. So if we play there, queen takes bishop. Rook takes queen. King takes. Rook. That turns into a check knight. He moves there. Snap that off. He takes, and then queen takes. Wow. I think that's the move. Let's reset that up and go through it one more time. Okay, there. That's forced. That's a forced combo. And then if he takes, we win with check, and that's devastating. So he's gonna have to take. So this is forced. Rook takes, and then if king doesn't take, let's say queen here. Sorry, here, here, and if king doesn't take, he still runs into a problem. So then if king takes, then we can actually take with the knight. Yeah. Interesting. So you take there first. Wow. Okay. You were right about the D. Well, hold on. I'll be right back. let's do this thing here. Let me see. Okay. The king, so he moved there. So if it takes. So we're forced to actually at this point, hold on. I guess we're not forced to take, but if we don't. Okay, if we take, then he moves over, check. Try to see it. That was right though back here. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, we're in check at this point, so if we take there, let's see if we set this up. Boy, Black's really doing damage to our guys. So. What did he take though with that? Oh, so he took the rook, okay. There's always ideas behind the player's moves, so we just gotta find out what they're hiding. Okay. So if we took here, trying to see, okay, takes there. What could he do to us if we take? Think that he could check. He checks with his rook over here. Because I think we're forced to take. I think that's because if we play here, he'll just. Sorry, if we play here, he'll just take that rook. So we're forced to take that there. Okay, bishop takes at that point. I was wondering if he was going to play that. Oh boy. Okay, with the movement of this there, we potentially have rook takes knight. We can give the piece back. See if we take rook takes, that's queen takes. See, what's going to happen is queen's going to try to check here. So if we play here, queen checks, we have queen there. That is an interesting idea. I was looking at that idea here, and then if he slides over here, there. We're up a whole rook at that point. Or an exchange, at least. Yeah, we gotta do. I think that's the only. Well, you have two ideas here. You have here, or you have here. I don't really like that because then if there, then he has there, he can actually attack our bishop. Because otherwise we have a potential mate. Actually, not a potential mate, a mate. That makes more logical sense. There, over here. And then we can, if we move over here, then we can move up there. But what happens if he just takes? What happens if he just takes? And we take here. Let's say he plays queen check. I always do queen check there. Queen check. So here, there. Queen check. It's got to run. I guess we can run back, can't we? Let's see. Okay, here. I'm sorry. Here. There. We check here. We can actually move up. That is the predicament we're in right now. I think that we're actually stuck in this here. I think we have to kind of intercept there. I think that's almost forced, because we don't have enough shielding to really do anything. This move here is not the best, because he can pin and then push. If here or here, there. Interesting. We can actually maybe counter sacrifice. Oh boy, 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 boy. Sure of that it's bishop here. I'm pretty sure that. Let's see, I'm trying to see. Okay, if we play there. Then if he plays queen, queen. There. Wait a second, hold on. Okay, if we intercept, then he plays queen over. We come up, rook goes d8. Then we can actually, I believe we could play queen b3. Okay, I see this. He can't move his rook. So if we play here, if we play there, and then he brings the queen over, we bring our queen up. He can't play rook. I'll show you. If we go here, and he goes here, and we come up here, he comes over, we actually win with our queen. So here, over there, and we're still threatening to... What do we do in that sitch? Maybe we can move our king at that point. The tide tester is actually the rook move. This is really puzzling. It's like super duper, boy. Trying to see if there's anything else that we can do, guys. I really don't see anything that really works here. So that's what I'm thinking here. Oh, wait a second. We can play here, can't we? If we go here, let's say place there, we can actually jump in. Interesting. Knight there. Check. And then the knight jumps in. Now that does seem like it works. Trying to recalculate to see if this works, because potentially he has right here, after here, here, there, and if he takes, so we're fine at that point, because then we have a flight square to run our king to. We still have our bishop protection. Yeah, that's it. That's the move. I think that's. Thank you. Bye bye. Okay. Well, with that, we'll end on a hot win there. So we'll recover all this back. We just have to make sure that we focus down and find it. Well, with that, as Wesley So says through Lord Jesus, I say God bless, guys, and I will see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Remember, keep studying chess. Sometimes you know what, we have to learn, and learning's not the funnest thing. And we got to remember, don't rush. We rushed our moves, and that's what happened. Okay, well, guys, remember, only look back, keep moving forward, but only look back to learn. And remember, there's always a plan. There's always a plan in the position. We just gotta find it. And so remember, guys, do that, and we'll be number one. Well, have a great rest of the night, guys, and I'll see you next time. Be blessed. Bye bye.